Hi, welcome everyone to, I think this is the 12th interview in this series of Israel's LGBT Organizations Explained. I'm very proud to welcome Anna Guterman this week from Raduga, the group for Russian-speaking LGBT people in Israel. So welcome, Anna. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Good stuff. So first of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're from, when you made Aliyah, that kind of thing?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you that you had a time to to talk with us. My name is Anna. I'm from Russia. I was born in Saratov, and then I lived there quite time in Moscow, and then I did Aliyah. I did Aliyah in 2009, and from that time I live here. I was exactly reminding how I get to Raduga. Just a quick, I live in Tel Aviv now. I lived in Haifa also. I lived in Jerusalem, and find myself finally in Tel Aviv. I'm the event manager. I'm doing big events, so I don't have any work now. And yeah, I came to Raduga just in first month of my visiting here in Israel. I was in a Matzah program for 10 months, and it was amazing experience. And I stayed here, and I'm part of the group. I'm the part of the organization, and also doing some some event management for the Raduga.
Nice one. So how did you discover Raduga? Did you find the group before you moved to Israel? Or?
I came to Massam, and it was my second week, I think so. And I didn't know anything about Raduga or anything about the Russian-speaking LGBT movement. I, frankly speaking, just did a Google. So write in Google LGBT Life Israel on Russian, and I found the website. And now it's more on Facebook, but then it was a website and chat and forum, all these things. And I just drove there, and they came for the parties. They had some party events, some lines. Now it's more closed, but then it was. And I just came, I understand that I need some people, some group, something to be friends and to socialize, because I really I love socializing and extroverts and these things. And I just did Google. So okay. Google helps.
Nice one. So you came to Israel with Masa, you said. So were you teaching when you first arrived?
I was in the Masa program for the volunteering and all the stuff in 2008. So, and then I did Aliyah in 2009.
Okay, nice one. All right. So when you made Aliyah, was that through Nativ? Is that correct?
Yeah, for the Russian. I just want to say a thing. I was born in former Soviet Union, but now I was born in Russia. But when we're talking about Russian speaking, it's very complicated. It's a lot of countries and a lot of cultures. So even though we do speak one language, there is difference also in the families and in the education and in the viewing of the Jewish or LGBT in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia. So it's amazing, how from the one big amazing country so mixed. And sometimes I will say Russian, but I'm meaning Russian speaking from a lot of countries. It's important to say. And for the former Union, from the Soviet Union, we have to go to checkings of the Nativ, the Shkat Kesher in Hebrew. And you have to put all the documents, they're checking your documents. This is written, you're Jewish or from the mother or the father's side. And all the time you have to remember, there is a family that has documents, which is full, and you have to remember there is a lot of families that don't have a document. because it was former Soviet Union, because there was a lot of families who changed their names, surnames, changed their nationalities, and it was like 60, 70. It was like issue, and a lot of families just like wasn't talking about this. It was scary. It was wasn't so good everywhere, and I was the happiest one. All my family saved all the documents.
Fantastic.
So my wife is asking to permission to go back. um, so yeah, as I said, my family like keeps all documents, and I really like appreciate that for them. And it's not, as I said, it's not easy. And so I passed this document checking. It's very easy, but there was a lot of like amazingly sad stories for me. Like for example, sometimes they're asking you if your grandmother's is dead and she's buried in a Jewish cemetery. So they're asking to go and to make a picture of the grave. It's like
wow,
blowing my mind sometimes. And or if your grandmother like alive, they're asking to call her and they're starting to talk in Yiddish. So it's the sign that if she knows in Yiddish, so it's kind of the sign that she do have any connection.
And so
this
is
like,
what a
there's a lot of stories.
So this is what a lot of people have to go through if they're unlucky. If they come from families where that paperwork was either destroyed or lost, or something happened to it, the things they have to do. They have to.
Yeah, crazy one. But also, I knew some stories. I heard some stories like the people, from my age who wanted to do the Liam, they're starting to dig in their family histories, and they found ketubah of the grandmothers that they never saw it, and it was like start of talking in their families about their Jewish roots, which is kind of also nice thing, but not all the time, really.
That's amazing. So people finding out that they've got more Jewish
Yeah, you have to.
background
Yeah, you have
than
to
they
understand.
thought.
Like for example, I was a madricha in different Jewish organizations when I was in Moscow, and I really met people like who didn't know that they're Jews for like 16, 18-year-olds, and it's very common. They have to really understand that it was the parents tried to save their children, and also from the bullying in school. Like I was studying in the school when I was like me and one more other girl, Jewish. And then in 19, when the big Aliyah in Israel came, it just disappeared. Only after then I started, like when I grew up, I didn't understand where she goes. So it's also the bullying in the school, in public. So I do understand them, the parents, like I really understand them. But yeah.
So Nativa is kind of like the Russian speakers equivalent of Nefesh B'Nefesh. So that's who you go to with all your paperwork. They process everything. Ultimately, everything comes down to, I guess, the Jewish Agency and the Interior Ministry in Israel. But Nativa is the organization that you deal with yourself. Okay. And so how does that work? When you made Aliyah, when you first came here with Nasa, and when you made Aliyah, were you single at the time, or were you with your current, with your partner?
I was single.
Yeah.
I had a few years here in single, then I met my future wife, and we're already together from 2011.
Wonderful.
And we had the wedding 5 years ago. We didn't go abroad. It was important for us, for me. Okay. It was important for me politically not to go outside abroad and to come back, because from my activism, it's like it doesn't fix together why I'm paying here tax and have to go abroad. So we do have a contract with us,
Okay.
and
Did you do that through Mishpacha Chadasha?
No, we
No?
just had
Okay,
a
you
good
just have a contract.
we just had a good lawyer. We
Okay.
just sat together and write all the things what is important for us. Into that zoot, I'm still single, but I had amazing photos for my wedding.
Yeah. So just excellent. So just to explain that again, so in Israel there is no civil marriage. The only marriages that are performed here are marriages that are performed by the religious authorities. So for Jewish couples, it's the rabbinut, and there are equivalents for the other religions as well, for a number of other religions. And so if you want to marry someone of a different religion, if you want to marry someone of the same sex, if you want to do something that is outside of those authorities, then those authorities won't marry you. And so one option, which is something I did, my husband and I went to the UK, as you can tell from the UK. We got married legally there. And then when we came back to Israel, we got our British marriage certificate apostilled. I never know how to pronounce that properly. We took it to the we took it to the Interior Ministry, Mr. Benim, and so we had our ID cards updated. Actually, just as an aside here, there's an interview this Thursday evening. I can put the link into the chat window later on with Russell Lord, and he's actually one of the couples, one of the gay couples that sued the Israeli government back in the early 2000s because they had gone to Canada, legally got married there, and then they sued the British government to get their marriage recognized. So it's because of Russell and these other small number of other couples that, that I could do what I did. So which is wonderful, but there's still, as you mentioned, from an activism perspective, we're not even just fighting for gay marriage in Israel, we're fighting for civil marriage, okay? And once there's civil marriage, then because we will get same-sex marriage as well, and if we don't, then they'll have another fight on their hands and people will sue and we'll get it. So one way or the other, the question is whether we'll get civil marriage first. So that's fantastic.
It's exactly thing that you have to do a lot of things here through the court. Like, for example, in the same native that we were talking, now if you are the couple that you had the legal marriage abroad, like in Prague or in UK or in Canada, wherever it is, and you're coming back and you're the couple of the year together, and one of the partners is Jewish and another is not, you can do the Aliyah together like a family. It's a huge movement and a huge step for the natives in Russian-speaking countries. Like, it's really huge and it's amazing, and it works for a few years. One of my best friends that did Aliyah together with her partner, and they had the two that do the same level, the same rights, and it's amazing for now.
That's fantastic. Okay, that is wonderful. So would you say, if you were already married, if you were in a same-sex relationship, legally married, as you said, obviously not from Russia, but a legal marriage from some other country.
In another country.
If you go to Nativ, would there be any issues with telling them that you are a same-sex couple, that you're legally married and you want to make Aliyah together? Especially, I guess the problem is if one of you isn't Jewish, then you have to make Aliyah as a couple. If you were two Jewish people, you needn't tell them that you were married to each other, or you could apply in your own right for Aliyah. But if one of them isn't Jewish, you said
I can say about Moscow, because this is like my friends goes from there. I'm not sure that it works in other countries because it's the same law. They can make your faces, like kind of this, but in the law level, in the paper level, they have to do this, and they have no issues like not to do this, not to allow this.
See, that's strange because again, from the Israeli side, with the law of return, I can't remember which update it was, but it states that if you're married to someone who isn't Jewish, then they have the right to make Aliyah with you. And that was extended to same-sex couples as well. So from a legal perspective, from the Israeli side, there's no problem with that. So it's nice to know that Nativ adheres to that, whether there's problems back home or not.
Yes, thanks for that. And it's really, really great, especially because One more time, I'm saying that I'm talking about Russia now, and it was from more and more homophobic laws are entering the Russian society, and it was like for one time from the 10, 15 years ago, it was like much better than now, especially after 2012, 2013. It was, I really don't remember, 2012, if I'm correct, the Russian speaking maybe will say yes or no, was a really amazing, awful homophobic law, which is entering the Russian laws, like of the propaganda and all this. I don't just want to talk about this, but it's really make a big push for the LGBT only to come here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Raduga also helps a little bit. We opened before these laws and before the second layer of the Olim of the LGBT, special LGBT. The group was more talking about their issues and Israeli, and now it's really a lot of Olim coming and we're helping them and talking, and it also put us a little bit more activism in Russian speaking. We were in the counselor with the different slogans like "Don't do this," and doesn't help, but it put us on the activism map.
Fantastic. From a personal perspective, I'm just wondering, growing up in a country, and I guess you left before it became really homophobic, but have you found a big difference in people's attitudes here? I mean, from my own perspective, I reckon it took me about 18 months for the penny to drop that I'm not going to find homophobia everywhere I go. So, you know, when I moved here in 2012, I started talking to the Jewish Agency in Israel about organizing a group for the LGBT community. And I went in there thinking I'm just going to get no, 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 no. And I was very surprised by how positive it was. It was well, why do you need this? Why are the groups that we already organize not what you're looking for? And I explained, and you know, it took a few months, but you know, we started a program, and then the penny dropped. It's like, oh, it's not as institutionalized homophobia as I'm used to back home. People are actually more open-minded. Did you have that realization at any point, or did you go through anything like that? Or did you just accept that you were now in Israel and it was going to be so much easier and you didn't, I don't know. Should have prepared you for that question. Oh, you're muted. Why are you muted? What happened there? Hold on. I'm pressing, there we go. Oh no, there we go. Zoom, help me. There we go.
Yeah,
I apologize for that. Okay. I don't know what happened.
It's modern, okay. I think that I don't have an answer. I'm thinking about the short answer or long answer. The short answer will be, this is why I'm still here. And because Aliyah is not an easy thing. And if you are wearing this thing, it's not an easy. And absolutely, if you're coming alone, and my parents are still in Russia, and I came only with a few friends, and to build a career from the beginning, and language, culture, all the things that most of us go through. And sometimes I was, from the beginning, like a few years, the first 2 years, I was thinking if it's worth it. Like, if it's worth it now that I'm doing really downshifting, like, I was okay with Moscow, yeah? I didn't came like because it wasn't bad. It was bad. It wasn't bad. I had a work, I had a life. But then I opened a Russian speaking website, news, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, and I'm reading awful homophobic things, and then it's no one like the answer is pure. It's worth it. It was worth it for me. It's worth it that I did an amazing wedding openly. We lived together, and we had the same bank account. Wow, blow money. Yeah, the same bank account, the same apartment agreement. It's worth it. All this, all these things, and that's why I'm still here. So now, and one and one more thing that the Russian-speaking culture still homophobic, not only there. This is important to note. The generation of our parents who live here, not mine, but like, for example, the other participants of the group, they're still using media in Russian. There is the news, there is the website, there is the television, and the narrative of this is still rather homophobic. And even though you came, like, you're kind of feeling that, okay, I came out from there, you're still meeting this here, and you're still reading the news from there. So one of the things that did also Raduga in the beginning of 2000s, that to try to change narrative of Russian-speaking news and media. And there was a few really amazing interviews with also in Arutz, in television, and Arutz Station is Russian-speaking television in Israel. And it's really changed, and it started to change, and it's still changing in a good way. And there is a where to go still, but it's in the right things. And it's give really activism in this point, rather important for us, like to still live here and reading this. Where sometimes go to television and give interviews. The most high season, the tried in Jerusalem, why we're still in Jerusalem, all this, like every year we're going to television, everywhere we're trying to explain in Russian why all these things is important and what we're proud of. Yeah, it happens, but it's important, and this is the Raduga is also part of the Raduga part of it.
To bring up a good point there, I mean, two things. Firstly, obviously there's still homophobia within the Russian-speaking community within Israel. And secondly, Raduga isn't just for Olim, it's LGBT Russian speakers, some of whom were born here. So are there people within Raduga who were born here and they're struggling with coming out with their parents, or they've come out to their parents and they're dealing with homophobia at home, that kind of thing? Do you have members who are in that kind of situation?
Who was born here, I can say, but there is now in Israel a few years ago, like 5 years, I think, amazing movement which is called Dor Chad B'Chetzi, the half, help me with English, half and a half generation, like the kids who was born here when he's like 5, 6, 7 years old, and then grow up here. So the Israeli and all the native language is Hebrew, but they still came from Russian-speaking culture, and they grab all the things. We have few of this, but in general, doing coming out, I think in Russian-speaking family kind of issue. Also because of the history, because of the homophobic laws, and because of the homophobic culture, what is wasn't so so official. And in general, like, there was no sex in the USSR, kind of this stuff. And what it be to be to be homo, or really, like it wasn't so good, and it was a bad word. So even though that the family that lives here now, it includes them. Um, but I think here's a little bit easier than there. I do have a few friends in Russia who don't want to go out to do coming out because of this, because of their families. And if I can compare, maybe it's a little bit like comparing with the really religious families, you know, like if you're doing a coming out in religious families, it's a little bit the same, a little bit.
Okay.
But but there is also the happy stuff.
Cool. Okay, and do you know off the top of your head, I know, for example, there's Iggy. I interviewed someone a couple of months ago from Iggy. There's an English group for Iggy, Israeli LGBT youth. Is there a Russian speakers group in Iggy as well? You know, or
no, we are the only one, the Russian speaking group, and which is started in like very 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. And it's in the 80s, it was a big aliyah, from the Russian-speaking countries, 1.5 million.
Wow.
So, and you can just count each 7th or 8th person here in Israel was speaking Russian. So, and all this we were talking about in the 90s, the homophobic and all this culture also came here. And it takes a lot of years for the generation who already wanted to open and to talk about their sexuality and started to realize that they need it. Also, it was a little bit like a ghetto for Russian speaking, you know, like to come and to survive and to start to live and to start to build something in your story. And in 2000, from the 2000, so now it was the first Russian-speaking meeting. And from that point, the Raduga, it was in the other organization, in different sides was alive. And the Russian speakers was in the first Jerusalem Pride with the slogans in Russian, which is amazing. And which has really started the no homophobic movement in the Russian speaking things. There was the parties and the club and the website, the big one. And from now it's going on, the Russian speaking group for boys and for girls, sometimes together, mostly girls. I don't know why, I have to say, but also the boys are there, and a lot of women now.
Nice, good stuff. So, what kind of get-togethers do you have? What kind of get-togethers does Raduga organize?
We had meetings in the Kazagea in Gan Meir.
Yep.
In the
LGBTQ center. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. We have meetings like once in 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
And all the time you can come, you can talk. It's a safe space. It's kind of important, you know, like even though most of us are speaking Hebrew and newly I'm also trying to speak Hebrew, it's kind of important to talk, for me, to talk in Russian, to discuss in Russian my issues because of the background, because of the same words, you know, like the same basic thing. Yeah. And we have a group activities, it's a little bit support, it's a little bit helping, it's networking, which is really helps a lot. And as I said, we have activities and things in communities, and we're working a lot of for the Asbara, for the explaining and talking. And also have events. We're doing the Novi God every year, so already a tradition. What we're trying to do, we're doing Novigod in two languages, in Hebrew and in Russian. So we're inviting all the Israelis and Hebrew speaking, and it's amazing. We're sharing the culture already for a few years running, and we doing every time something in the Pride Week. This Pride Week there was no Pride, but still we did a picnic. We're doing a barbecue or something like this. Just in some park, everybody's coming, dogs, talking, sharing. It's like
fantastic. That's brilliant.
So
what kind of things do you do for Novigod? How do you celebrate New Year?
Oh, we have a yolka. It's a shuach, the tree. In English you will say Christmas tree, but it's tree, but it's not Christmas. So the tree, which is also used for, and we have events. We have a drag show. We have dancing and food, and you have to come.
Fantastic. Sounds fun.
I hope that the events will be back in winter somehow.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? We're doing our first event, the LGBT English speakers groups. We've been doing online events for a good few months now. I think the last proper meetup we had was Purim, and things were just starting to get, we were getting a little bit nervous. We were debating whether or not we should have a Purim party. Yeah. And so thankfully no one got sick at the Purim party.
I hope it will be back. I hope it will be back.
Yeah, so we're planning on having a Shabbat beach picnic. Everyone brings their own food. We're going to meet on the beach in a couple of weeks' time. We've asked everyone to wear masks and to respect other people's social distancing, so no people aren't getting in each other's faces if they aren't comfortable with that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be nice to see people after so long. I wanted to ask you if there are people, for example, we've got Ole in this call. If people are planning to make Aliyah from Russian-speaking countries, can they get in touch with Raduga?
Yeah, every time can get in touch with us. We have a Facebook page which is called Raduga the Keshet, which is in Keshet to Raduga in Hebrew. It's playing of the words. And you can just write there, and Anya, which is the manager of the group for all these years, she's amazing in this. She's answering, and you can
fantastic
write for us, and we're all the time welcome to new people, and not only Olim for now, but she's already here today.
Wonderful. I was going to ask you whether, again, I don't know very much about Russia or Russian-speaking countries. How is it, for example, to be trans in Russia these days? And if you are trans, and you went to Nativ and wanted to make Aliyah, are they going to make it up? Because as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, in Russia, you can't get your paperwork changed. You can't get your passport, the gender marker on your passport updated. Same goes for birth certificates. So you would have to make Aliyah as the gender you were assigned at birth. Yeah. And then.
As I heard.
Sorry?
As I heard, Ken.
Yeah. And then I guess the plan would be once you've successfully made Aliyah and you've become a citizen here, then you could start the actual transition process and do whatever's necessary at this end and then get paperwork updated. I don't think it's possible to get past. I don't think it's possible to get birth certificates updated here. But in Israel, birth certificate isn't used very much. Generally, it's your ID card and your passport. And I think once you've been through the transition, it's not a huge issue to get those things sorted. But as you mentioned before with Nativ, if you're trans, are they going to cause issues? Do you, have any information on that kind of thing?
Let's say that I'm not a professional here to say, because I really don't know to say you like exactly. You can write for us, and maybe Anya knows a little bit more.
Okay.
She absolutely knows a little bit more about this, but in general situation of the transgender is not so good. And because you are recording the Zoom, I can't say any bad words in the live. but it's not easy, absolutely not.
Okay. I mean, again, from the Israeli side, there's nothing to prevent trans people from making Aliyah. Plenty have. The tricky part is it's all to do with the paperwork you're using to make Aliyah. So whatever the gender marker is there, that is what your Israeli paperwork would say as well. And so for those people that come from countries where passports can be updated, birth certificates can be updated, then people can,
Amazing.
make Aliyah with the gender, with the gender already correct on their paperwork. Whereas other people where you can't have that stuff done, or if you haven't had that done beforehand, you would then have to go through the process in Israel to get the paperwork updated. But there should be nothing from the Nativ side that would prevent anything from happening. They're just fulfilling the law of return. So I'd hope.
Maybe I really don't have this information
Cool.
to create
No worries. Sorry to put you on the spot. Good stuff. So let's open up to questions. Are there any questions from anyone who's in the Zoom room? Just raise your hand, because I think I've stupidly muted you all and prevented you from unmuting yourselves. Sorry about that. So if you've got any questions, either type into the chat window or raise your hand in either on cam or here we go. We've got a question from Ole. So let me just unmute you. Did that work? There we go. It's about 2 seconds.
Thank you so much, Roy, for this meeting, for organizing this, and thank you so much, Anna, for providing so much information about these important topics and about this organization that you made. I'm not sure if you actually hear me clearly, because my microphone is not working.
Perfectly good. We can hear you fine.
Oh, that's cool. So the main question for Anna is, Anna, how can I find your organization on Facebook? Can you please post the link for your organization? And probably for now, that's all, because right now I'm not in Israel. I'm just planning to move there with my partner. So, and maybe if I'll have some...
Where are you from?
I'm from Ukraine, and now in Ukraine.
Where?
From Dnipropetrovsk.
Hey, amazing.
Oh, and where from? You're from Taganrog, or you?
No, I'm from Saratov and Moscow, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. So I've just posted the link to Raduga's Facebook page. So
yeah, I'm just sending you.
Cool.
Excellent. So facebook.com/Raduga Zekeshet. So correct me if I'm wrong. Raduga means rainbow, as does Keshet.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. Good
you
name.
made it already.
Good stuff. No, it's already there. All right. Wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah,
for that.
there is also already. There is also, if you're entering the Facebook page, I had an amazing matryoshka, which is the Russian doll. This is putting a lot of inside.
Lovely.
Opening it with the mustache.
Excellent. Good stuff. Are there any other questions? Thanks for that, Ole. No. Okay, wonderful. Is there anything else about Raduga that you'd like to tell us that we haven't covered?
I don't know. Maybe I think we talked a lot and we opened a rather interesting topic. I think it's just came and it's amazing to talk and to about Russian group, and I found that not a lot of people surprising that this is a Russian-speaking LGBT world.
Mm.
And,
one question I do have. Sorry, and I should ask this earlier. You mentioned that you meet up at the Tel Aviv LGBTQ Center. I know that there are Russian communities elsewhere in Israel. Are there events around the country as well, or is it mostly focused on Tel Aviv?
When the big events they were coming from a lot of places, and the group is the one group in Tel Aviv, located in Tel Aviv. But we have Russian-speaking LGBT in Jerusalem and Haifa. In Haifa, they sometimes meet in another organization just posting it. But in general, the group is one is.
Excellent, wonderful. Thank you very much. Excellent.
You're
So thank you very
welcome.
much. Thank you very much so much for joining us, Anna. I really appreciate it. I do also realize the irony that we are talking about a group for Russian speakers in English. We are planning to do a follow-up interview where we'll talk about Raduga in Russian, because that kind of makes more sense.
We will do it, absolutely.
Absolutely, we'll spread the word when that happens. The other thing I was going to mention was that this is, again, part of a series. The previous 11 episodes from the series are available. Like I said, we've recorded this one and we've recorded all the previous ones. If you just go to Facebook, search for LGBT Olim, and have a look at the videos there, you'll find the recordings. We've also got a channel on YouTube as well. So if you search for LGBT Olim on YouTube, the videos are available there. And one of these days, I'll get the LGBT Olim website updated, and there'll be links from there as well. Okay. Cool. So thank you very much, Anna, for talking to us today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so I'll stop the recording now, but have a great evening, everyone.